I mean, we'll just do 10 minutes per page of notes Dad has, because he's very prepared. This is... Here we are, and welcome to a very thankful episode of the Friday Night Movie Podcast. We are a day or two after Thanksgiving, and we are quite thankful because we have the second part of the great dynamic duo that created the siblings. Our dad, Roger, is here as a guest. Dad, welcome.
Thank you very much, siblings. I'm so glad you still claim me as your father.
I guess we have to.
Becky, calling in from California, how are you?
I'm doing great. I'm really enjoying this long holiday weekend. When I spoke to you guys last, I was sort of halfway through my baking extravaganza, right?
Yeah, so you trashingly ate the disgusting lemon bars you made.
So it turns out my
garbage.
My dog takes after me, and we ended up with quite a bit of leftovers. Some of the pies came out good, by the way. And when we weren't looking, she ate an entire tray of mixed pies of like apple pie and cranberry and pear and pumpkin.
That sounds amazing. A tray of mixed pies.
How many pies did you make? Like full-sized pies?
I'm concerned that he didn't get that many pies.
I made 4 full-size ones. 3 I brought to the Thanksgiving dinner, but then there were 10 total at the dinner, and so we ended up bringing home like a mixed bag of leftovers.
Yeah, but Becky, Shy, I mean, it's Berkeley, so remember, half of these had like no sugar and just like all spice
sweetened with carrot roots and avocados and nuts.
2 of them were gluten-free. But the rest were normal. Thank you very much. And then we brought home a whole mixture of them, and Sabaka ate like literally an entire tray of pies.
Well, is she okay? Is she still alive?
Sure, going strong. She's going. Right. She got no problem.
Lily, how was your Thanksgiving? Did you have Thanksgiving?
No, I said previously that we are it's not celebrated here. However, they do Black Friday now, as just like this campaign to push like hawk stuff before Christmas. So there's like also good deals, but because people here can't get their shit together to do anything on one particular day, they extend it to the whole weekend.
So there's just
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are just sales that they call Black Friday. Okay. It's pretty funny. And tomorrow I was invited by a nice group of Americans that I met here, and they have invited me and Jose to Thanksgiving. They do not realize, though, that neither one of us ever really celebrated Thanksgiving because I grew up in Canada. So it's a huge deal to them, and I'm very excited to be invited to their like community. It's like only Americans and their husbands or wives invited.
Well,
but neither one of us really.
We had a delicious Thanksgiving dinner. Allie and Mom made turkey and Mom's stuffing, like the kind that Mom's recipe with the Tam Tam crackers from we were little, which Mom cooked like inside the body of the turkey, and I got to eat like a whole chunk that was just like wrapped in like turkey neck or something like that. It was amazing.
Mom does it old school. People don't really do it that way anymore because of like salmonella. But Mom keeps it real.
Mom's has all the manillas.
And Mom is like of the full belief of like if it wasn't a thing when Mom was a kid, it doesn't exist.
Exactly. And so we had that turkey and stuffing, and then for dessert, in honor of my near coming birthday, Mom made Hester Whitnoff's carrot cake to perfection, which is the same carrot cake recipe Mom's been making for me for 30 years. But she's actually been making me carrot cake even longer. Anyways, that was perfect and moist, and it had nuts and cream cheese frosting, not too sweet, not sweet, and no raisins. So it was all carrot cake and all goodness. And Allie's mom made, listen to this, salted chocolate caramel fudge brownies.
Whoa.
Yeah,
that almost sounds like
each bite tasted
a step too far for me because I don't like too sweet
I don't know that I
each
I don't
bite had like
all
a
of that.
full caramel. Like, you know how you used to get caramels
That
on Halloween?
is my jam, though.
It was
Becky
amazing.
loves a caramel
Love a good
chocolate
caramel.
combo.
So
Good caramel situation.
now that we've reviewed our Thanksgiving dinners, one of the things we are also thankful for are movies and television, but especially movies. And at this time of year, we want to take a moment to recognize and thank what it's hard to define the category exactly, but they're the actors, using the term
Unsung
for
heroes?
actors and actresses, unsung heroes, the people that make like the recipe of a movie or a film perfect, the extra spice, the character actors. And that is what this episode is going to be devoted to. Our father is, I would say, he may have a PhD in social work. I suspect his second PhD is in knowing the names of every side character actor that's ever been in a movie dating back to the old westerns.
Like you'll watch a movie with Dad, and then it's not even the side; it's the side character, and he's like, "Oh, he snaps his finger. You know who that is? That's so and so." And you turn to him, and you're like, "Why?
Yeah, and he was.
Why would your brain hold that information?"
And then Dad said, "Yeah, he was the second in command of the police station on the Australian Lawyer TV show that I was the only one who watched." And
He was
he'll be
fabulous.
right.
He's a great actor, and you're like, well, you know what? I want to call that guy's mom and be like, someone knows who you are.
So with that in
Mazel
mind,
tov.
before we have Dad give us the official definition of this actor, of this category, as we talk about these unsung heroes, or we sing these heroes, I'd like Lily to attempt to explain it, and then
Okay.
all of us to interrupt.
I am
because
going to smoke all of you because every time I try to prepare something to explain, I do it terribly.
Have you
I
set a
explain the wrong
timer?
thing.
Have you set a timer for yourself?
You're already taking too long.
Exactly. See, I knew it. So I prepared
You're
a
giving us
statement.
backstory to you explaining things. Instead of
I
just
can't get around. I can't get out of it. I can't get out of my own way. I've prepared a statement that I will now read
A manifesto?
about the answer to this, so I don't get in trouble. First, I was going to say the explanation. I'm giving two definitions. One is my original definition, which was it's that person in that movie that you're like, oh, that movie was so good. I don't remember who that actor is, but they had a bunch of other people besides main actor, insert George Clooney or somebody like Tom Cruise or whatever. Then there's like that other person. But then I'm like, that sounds so not official and dumb. So then I'm going to read this statement. A character actor is someone who is an actor or actress. Now in 2018, we just say actor, is a supporting actor who plays unusual, interesting, or eccentric characters. The term is often contrasted
I feel
with
like
that
you're
of a
cheating.
I feel like
a
you're just
leading-
reading,
I
reading
feel like
the
you're
Wikipedia
cheating. You're
entry
just
on
reading
this.
Wikipedia.
I said I prepared a statement. I didn't say where it was from. Of a leading actor.
Please write the statement.
The term, often contrasted with that of a leading actor, is somewhat abstract and often to interpretation. And this is the key point, because I think it is things can get very gray when you start using certain people who have then used to be character actors, i.e. Paul Giamatti, who transitioned clearly into lead actors, i.e. Billions. And then people like John C. Reilly, who kind of have pretty much, well, they're more famous, have maintained their
John
status.
C. Reilly's like a huge famous.
He's a
does all
huge
those,
star,
like,
but he is not a leading man. He often is still in the supporting
I
role.
think
He's
Becky
had more
maybe
than
is-
one leading man.
I think Becky maybe
movie,
is
for sure.
confusing his performance in Wreck-It Ralph and Talladega Nights as leading man performances.
Oh, it still counts. And didn't he have one serious movie, maybe?
where he played the
still
French vampire in that movie.
Ooh, I don't know what you're talking about, but I want to see it.
Well, okay.
I think,
Lily
well,
has.
I think there are
So it doesn't
obscure
count as a
ones,
leading
but I'm
man, it's a
saying is that
comedy?
there are also character actors. While they might be more famous, they're still not leading men.
So
or
now,
women.
Lily, thank you for reading us Wikipedia. I'm going to now pass the floor to our father,
I cannot win.
who has done extraordinary research. When we told him this topic a few nights ago, I mean, he stopped cleaning and building things for 2
The man has
days.
2 masters and a PhD. Do you expect anything less?
And I'm going to keep these notes to pass on to our children because they're in Dad. You know how Dad has the most amazing handwriting?
Yeah, I know.
Dad's handwriting is amazing, and there are pages and pages and pages. So, and actually, you know, when he looked at the notes of the show, he said to me, "Shai, it looks like you're going to let other people speak about this topic." He said, "I thought I was the only one who was brought in to speak about this." So this is a serious guest we have here. And with that, I hand it over to our father, an expert on character actors.
Thank you, children. Well, you have certainly touched one of my most favorite topics, even to the memory of me as a 10-year-old actually studying the names of all these second and third bananas. So I have prepared several hours worth of notes. I think I need like a cue card when to cut it. But I think similar to Lily, it's very hard to come up with a simple definition. You know these characters by certain characteristics. And I'm just going to read off, I made a whole bunch of what I would call rules. First of all, a character actor, to officially be classified as a character actor, must have at least 100 movie credits, or prorated on the basis of where they are in life, or if they had retired early. And this is very, very important, because when you really look at them, they've been in everything, every TV show, all kinds of movies. You just haven't recognized them. So kind of like the 100 credit rule as a starter. You never choose.
So for it's like a Hall of Fame ballot in baseball. They have to have had a certain amount of at-bats.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
these are your this is not something you found somewhere. This is what you've
these are my rules.
We sent Dad a bunch of IMDb related lists.
No, I get it. I just wasn't
Dad,
sure if he was also plagiarizing or if I'm the only one.
No, these are Dad's criteria, which I think are amazing.
Right, to be a great character actor, you can't have appeared in like 20 films. You got to be in there for the long run. Audiences never choose a movie because somebody's playing second fiddle or third banana. You never go to a movie because of the character actor. You're going because of the lead actor or the story. So, again, you know a character actor because you've never chosen a movie on the basis of that person's presence. There are at least 3 famous movies that character has been in that you don't remember him being in, or her.
Perfect.
So for sure, when you look back and you go through.
Question.
Yeah.
That you or I or Lily and Becky don't remember, or people don't typically remember, because our memories of movies are pretty good.
Well,
but even for one of the ones on my list of my favorites, I just checked if that criteria was true, and I'm like, what? She was in that movie?
Right.
And that was a pretty famous movie, so that went.
Do you remember that? Do you remember? You like Zohan, right?
Yeah. John Turturro?
John Turturro, very good. Okay, so that maybe that's too easy, but
no, but I wouldn't have remembered that John Turturro was in it. I just remember.
I would say I am the Padawan in this, so for my generation, I remember a lot of this stuff.
Okay. Conversely, if you pick a movie and the cast, and you go through the full cast, no matter what movie it is, you'll go down the list and you'll go, oh, he was in that movie? So there's all of these hidden treasures. I think the next one we touched on when we were talking about John C. Reilly, if they get the lead in a movie, it's always either a B-level movie, an indie film. It's never they never graduate.
That's an excellent criteria, because then it made me conflicted, because there's a few of my favorite character actors, and I'm like, well, but they were the lead in this movie no one saw, so.
Right, but
I see what you're saying.
Giamatti, he's graduated because he's been in John Adams, and Buscemi has been in Atlantic City, whatever. So
Boardwalk Empire.
Oh boy, it's the same thing. So you can't. They're no longer. No. They're disqualified as B-level movies. They come in 2 types, and the dominant type. There are 2 species. The dominant species is what I call the mono character. And when you see that person, you actually know who they're playing even before the person opens his mouth. right? So and then you have the multifaceted, multi-character ones.
That's a great point.
Which
one
are-
of mine on my list also fits that
Yeah.
criteria.
And they
Like they're always the bad guy.
right.
Yeah,
right,
one of mine on my
exactly.
list is like,
Right.
oh, he's in a movie. You're like, oh, he's gonna play a crazy man.
Crazy person or the bad guy.
Yeah.
John Turturro is always the unpredictable crazy guy. Luis Guzman is always the token.
You have to give us reference because nobody knows who that is.
Luis Guzman.
Guzman.
Luis
Guzman?
Guzman.
You don't know who that is?
Oh, Guzman. I heard Guzman.
No,
Guzman, yeah.
No,
Guzman.
I think it's Guzman.
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 Por favor.
me.
Guzman.
I was
But I
caught.
feel like if you're going to use something, like people might not know who it is. Can you give me an IMDb reference? I mean, he's in so many movies. He was in Traffic, right? Wasn't he?
Not on.
What's
Not
that
on.
funny movie he's in with like the robbery?
What?
I'm gonna look
Luis
right
Guzman
now.
was in The Count of
Which
Monte
one?
Cristo. One of the best Luis Guzman roles, and he's also
in
in
Traffic. He's in
Count of
Boogie
Monte
Nights.
Cristo?
On Drunk
He's
Love.
also in Waiting. He's
Oh,
hilarious
Punch
as the
Drunk
chef,
Love, right.
and
He's in Punch Drunk
he's
Love,
hilarious
yeah.
as the chef in Waiting. But Luis Guzman is the definition of a character
Right.
actor. That is
Okay.
a great
So
choice.
good.
We just
I can't even think of
played it out. So at this point, by the way, yours is more.
Are you kidding?
He's still speaking.
So one of my favorite character actors.
He's so generous to let you interrupt.
I'm only on page 1 of 12 pages. My favorite character actor is David Paymer. Ring any bells?
I know who he is.
Ah, you see, David Paymer. You don't know who David Paymer is. Did anyone
familiar.
see?
Yes, you do. City Slickers. He
City
plays
Slickers.
the part of the duo, the skinny duo of the Ben and Jerry's.
Right.
Of the Ira and Barry.
Exactly. So everybody.
Skinny little one.
Right. As soon as anyone's going to a dude ranch, which we are as a family, and everyone says City Slickers, but nobody remembers David Paymer. How about Payback?
He's in
Oh, I
Tons of-
love him in
Okay.
Payback.
Payback. Okay. Do you remember that
Shorty? He's in Get Shorty,
Do you
too.
remember Get Shorty? Big role in Get Shorty. Do you remember that he was in the first season of Mrs. Maisel?
You know what? I'm reading that as his
Yeah.
Yeah.
thing, but
Yeah,
I
no,
don't
he's in the
remember
first- he
him
plays-
being in that.
No,
Oh.
he's the agent guy
He's the
that
agent guy.
Susie's trying to make a connection with,
Right.
that she ends up, that Midge
He
ends up
blows-
like offending because he
Okay.
represents
Yeah.
the Jane Lynch
He
character.
always plays the.
I almost put
ancient
him on
guy.
my list because he's like you
Right.
don't know who he is, but he's in
and he
everything.
plays Billy Crystal's brother in Mr. Saturday Night.
Right. So
Okay,
That's way
that
back.
too.
I when I was thinking about this, and I'll end this portion of my comments here is that they are extremely helpful to us moviegoers because they're shorthands. They allow us to understand the plot in a very efficient way so we can move on. So when David Paymer or Luis Guzman walks on, or John Turturro, Guzman, you kind of know what character they are. And it's almost as if you can jump ahead or focus on the storyline.
But is that a detriment to the film, or you're saying it's a
No,
positive
I think
thing?
I think it's a positive because
That's why that's like Bob Balaban's on my list for that reason. Because
Exactly.
anytime he shows up in a movie, I know he's kind of playing like the Nebusha guy.
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
like the psychiatrist and/or
Yeah.
And my last comment, my last rule is sometimes their names really do match their characters. So Bob Balaban would be Bam. That would be one.
right. Bob Balaban is a Bob Balaban.
Right,
Oh,
exactly.
by the way, the Guzman film I'm thinking of, which is a great movie, I think, just in general, for when it came out, if you think about character actors, the whole movie is character actors, is Waiting for Welcome to Collinwood. Remember?
Yeah, right.
About the bank heist? And it's like,
That's
at
a
the
great
time it came
movie.
out, pretty much everyone in it, except for George Clooney, was a character actor. It was like Sam Rockwell, who's now huge, but at the time
Right.
was
Sam
like...
Rockwell was a character actor for a while.
So I
Yes,
give you
exactly.
these names.
He's
These
an Oscar
are
winner.
these are names.
I would say watch Welcome to Collinwood for a good study in character actors.
So I'm going to give you names, and you've never seen these guys because they're before your generation. So if I told you Wally Cox, do you get a sense of who the character is?
Oh, you just mean just imagine.
I think
If
it's
I'm-
sort of like a southern newspaper writer, like car salesman type of character,
Okay.
or
Okay.
saloon
Well,
owner.
You're going to have to look him up. Percy Helton.
The problem is there's like 7 Wally Cox in IMDb. I don't know if
Well,
that's the same person.
Well, Percy, a Wally, a Henry.
Percy's a butler.
Right. Yeah, they're kind of nebbishy. They're kind of like they're not Johns. They're not
playing the evil villain.
They're not Derek's. So they're almost like onomatopoeia words. Is that you know what character they're going to play by virtue of their name.
Mm-hmm.
So I have my 5, but I'll save those for when we go around.
So it's at this point that the expression kids are using today is when you'd say, "Thank you for coming to my TED Talk," because it's like you gave us a TED Talk there just there on. So
appreciate it.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Do the kids say that?
Well, Lon says it. She's the one kid I know. And
is it like names. A burn, or is it like a?
No, it's like a. It's like
I was just gonna say
like saying like
flex,
but
okay, Dad, because that's the only one that I know.
Okay, but thank you for. Oh, by the way, in the movie that John C. Reilly plays some sort of vampire is called Cirque du Freak, the vampire's assistant.
He actually.
Yeah, that's Becky. That does not make him a famous leading man.
So we asked people. We asked people to go around and talk about their top 5. I mean, we've talked about a bunch already, but their top 5 character actors. I think we can use Dad's definition as the jumping off point, and we can weigh. I don't expect you guys to like research every single detail about it against Dad's.
No, but I'm looking through people's lists on the notes, and I think pretty much all of them fit.
Okay, and so.
But I agree with everyone's list so much. It's hard for me that they like all these people were people I was going to put on my own list.
So that's what I'm looking with your list. So you're looking at your list allowed me to branch out because I was like, well, she's already got.
Why don't we start with Becky?
Oh, wow. Thank you. Okay. So, but again, I just want to preface that Lily and Shai both have people on their list that are 100% are like, these are some of my favorites. So my first is, when you said character actor, the first guy that popped in my head was Tim Blake Nelson. He's in a lot of Coen Brothers movies. Yeah. He's got like a long kind of dopey face. And if you remember, like for me, what stands out is him in Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? And him saying like, he's a toad. Does that like bring you down?
Yeah, he's a great
He
actor.
also plays the dad in Kimmy Schmidt. Doesn't he play Kimmy Schmidt's dad?
I don't know.
Yeah. He plays the dad now.
He's great. He's great.
He's a fabulous actor.
Then Margot Martindale, who's just like one of my all-time favorites.
Brilliant.
Okay, so Margot Martindale is one of those people that, again, she's like a very unassuming, she's a very like, she looks like she could be someone's like aunt or mom. Like she's not, looks like some Hollywood famous, not like a Meryl Streep type. She's such a killer actress. Every part she's in, she kills. What you might know her from is in The Americans for like a season or 2, she plays their handler. Where I fell in love with her is one of the vignettes from Paris Je T'aime that was, I think, directed by Alexander Payne, and she stars in it. And I remember seeing that when that came out, and I just became obsessed with her.
Her ultimate role for me. So she really fits Dad's criteria. When Margot Martindale is in a show. Particularly a show, because it's not movies as much. A show, I'm like, okay, this show has gravitas.
Justified, I think. Maybe?
Yeah. Justified. So this show has has gravitas just because she's in it now.
Yes.
And Justified season 2 towers above every other season of that show. That show's good.
She won an Emmy for that season, and
that shows.
And she won an Emmy for Americans. She's a powerhouse.
That show is good,
but yet you still wouldn't know who she is. Right. Probably the average person.
And she may never win an Oscar.
Right.
And but she has the chops, I think, of a Meryl Streep. Like she is a powerhouse actress. Like you put her in something like Shai said, it elevates it to a serious level of acting.
And at the same time, she played in the Nicole Kidman comedy Magic. Perfect. What was the
Practical Magic?
Practical
Magic. She's one of the goofy circle people.
Neighbors. Yeah, the neighbors who supports the witches.
She's a polymorph. She can do it all.
And she's in Sneaky Pete, which is an okay show, but because she's in it, it's better.
That's what she does.
Yeah, keep going down your list.
So then I have Bob Balaban, which we've already discussed, because he's the type of guy, kind of opposite to Margot Martindale. He shows up in something, I go, ooh, I know what character you're playing. Bonus about Bob Balaban, I was lucky enough when I was a production assistant on Nurse Jackie to meet him because he directed a couple of episodes. And let me tell you, he is the same in person that he is in the show. And it was so heartwarming to be like, you're Bob Balaban, and you're exactly what I want you to be. Next is Danny Trejo.
This is a big one, Beck.
Who's the big
what
one?
a pull! I was so jealous that you picked this one.
I knew you.
Me
would be.
too.
Who?
Becky, like when
Danny Trejo.
Oh.
Danny Trejo is, a gruff, kind of terrifying looking, like villainous guy. He's always playing like a drug lord or a gun runner or a motorcycle gang guy. Like he's always playing a bad guy. Where I first remember him from is from Dusk Till Dawn, which scared the bejesus out of me, but he is in that. And then he also plays, and which I think is a lovely role for him, is he plays Rosa's dad on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, that's great. I think so.
Yeah.
I think you're right. Well, I'll say something that's great about Danny Trejo. You mentioned Dusk Till Dawn, and he's done a bunch of Robert Rodriguez things. And one of the cool things about him is that he's always there as himself. It's almost like he's playing himself, but he plays different variations and sometimes plays with your expectations. In Desperado and in Dusk Till Dawn, he plays the assassin type of character, always flaunting that big tattoo that he really has on his chest, the tattoo of the woman that's on his chest. And then in Spy Kids, of all movies, he plays an amazing, lovable character. He plays their long-lost uncle Machete.
I love that he can surprise you.
And then Robert Rodriguez made a fake trailer before the Grindhouse movies that he made with Tarantino for a movie called Machete. And then they made two movies called Machete about Machete that are like these exploitation movies. That are sort of these
I don't know if you guys
action
know
movies.
this. I don't know if you know this about him, but he was a child drug addict. He served 11 years in prison.
No kidding.
At San Quentin. He had a really difficult life. He was in prison for armed robbery, drug offenses, and he had a very rough entire first part of his life. He completed a 12-step program, got cleaned up, completely changed his life, and by total happenstance ended up meeting up with somebody who was a screenwriter who he served time with him, and remember that he also had won several major titles for boxing, and was like, hey, will you train Eric Roberts? Got him hey, I'll give you a job, train Eric Roberts as a boxer.
This is a great story. It's a lot of backstory.
I'm just saying.
Lily.
And then
it's a lot of backstory.
I'm just saying, and then he gets a job accidentally. Well, they cast him as Eric Roberts' opponent, and then he ends up getting a complete Hollywood career as an actor. It's an amazing story.
Then we'll do a separate episode on him. Okay,
Danny
last
Trejo
one in
the
my
Danny
now.
Trejo story by Lily
So,
Korman.
Last one on my list, I'm realizing.
If it was a backstory about a carrot cake, there'd be no problem.
Yeah.
Was it sweet? Was it savory?
And it didn't have raisins, but did it have walnuts? I love walnuts in a carrot
He said
cake.
it had nuts. He said it had nuts.
no
He gave a
raisins.
lot of backstory on the carrot cake.
All right. So last on my list is one that fits Dad's criteria in a different way. I'm just looking at IMDb. He has 182 credits, yet I can probably only name him from two things, which is what's amazing. Peter Stormare.
Oh, look at Dad's face. Dad just
Minority
I wish you
Report.
took a picture of Dad.
You just got one of mine.
So, he's in the back.
I remember, obviously he's in Fargo, but Minority
Right.
Report.
So he plays the bad guy in Fargo. He's in Minority Report, Armageddon. Those are the only couple of movies that come to mind. But he has
Minority Report where he switches the eyeballs. That's such a great part for him.
I think this is
So
also...
he always plays someone who's crazy-eyed and he's the wild card that's gonna do something really gruesome.
So if you think about, and I think this is another important characteristic of the great character actors, they can have very, very small parts, but yet you remember those parts of the movie for decades.
He's in the movie for what, 15 minutes?
But literally,
the eyeball
182
movie.
credits. I'm I don't know any of these movies.
How about
who is he?
how about Peter Stormare in Constantine?
Oh,
where
yeah.
he plays
Plays the
Satan,
devil.
right? Or the devil.
And let's say Peter Stormare in Prison Break. Oh,
He-
the
he-
first
he-
season of Prison Break.
He's the key character.
Yeah.
He carries that.
In fact, when his character got killed off,
Right.
there was no point in the show anymore after his character got killed off. And then I would say one of the funniest roles I've seen him in, because again, these guys can play such dark characters, and then they'll throw it against type. Is in one of my favorite movies is Nacho Libre. Which is made by the guys who made Napoleon
that
Dynamite.
right?
And there's again a 2-minute scene where Jack Black's character goes to see if he can find an eagle egg to drink the eagle egg and the mysterious man he has to find to help him is Peter Stormare. And there's just totally bizarre scene of Peter Stormare rowing a boat with Jack Black and telling him about all the nutrients he's going to get from an eagle egg. But to me, that's one of the iconic.
So do we have anyone with more than 182 acting credits? Because that's his.
No.
Oh, okay, all right. That's a good number to stick with. Lil, you're IMDbing as we go?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So I think I'll jump in. Lily, go in with your list. Let's hear your list.
Are you sure?
Yeah, and I'll track your list as you go.
Every time I talk, so I'm not sure.
Well, are we going to get...
Where do you see their credits? Where do you see their total credits that you can see that?
If you click on the section that says in their filmography, if you click, for example, it'll say actor, and then
so
you list the
looking
number
at
of credits.
131.
And obviously we're just talking about
and then
acting.
if you go writer, whatever.
Okay. So my number one, numero uno, obsessed with this guy, and I've talked about this on the show before, is John Hawkes.
Oh yeah, I agree.
My major obsession with this guy. He has a new movie coming out called Unlovable, and I've watched the trailer 17 times.
And I want to give you guys, I don't know what the I told you so equivalent of an actor is. I honestly didn't even know John Hawkes' name or know he was a thing or in other things other than Deadwood.
I've loved him since
and then
Winters.
you guys showed me Small Town Crime.
Yeah.
Dad showed me that. He's amazing.
Actually, I mean, he was brilliant in Winter's Bone, which, again,
he's in love with him. Was
he's a main actor in that, but that's not a super. I guess it's more indie.
He's in the list of credits in Winter's Bone. He's number 15.
So there you go, and he plays her father in the movie.
Uncle.
But I guess she's searching for, or the uncle. Sorry, you're right. She's searching for, probably plays the uncle. He's brilliant, but the movie I fell in love with him originally was the Miranda July movie, Becky.
Yeah. Whatever. You're cooler than us. We get it. What's the next
But I want to say, anybody listening, I highly recommend The Sessions. If you have not seen that movie, it's brilliant.
So good.
It's just a great film. He's the main actor in it. Again, more of a underground film.
This is what I mean by a B actor getting a leading gig. So the description of The Sessions, if you look up any IMDb, a man in an iron lung who wishes to lose his virginity contracts with a professional sex therapist with the help of his therapist and priest. Now, that's not exactly a George Clooney role.
It's not Mission Impossible.
True.
However, there's no one, he plays it so well, he should have won an Oscar. He's also in Martha Macy May Marlene, which is a darker film. He plays a main character. But again, that is more of trapped in an iron lung.
That's definitely, that's more of
an underground movie.
Small indie film. Weird.
All right, Lily, keep rolling.
Anyways, okay. Sorry. And he has 134 credits. So that's
still 50 short of my guy. But keep going.
No, I don't think anybody beats your guy. I've been trying to look, and I'm like, what? That's pretty good. And then my next one is Linda Hunt, who does not make the criteria of the.
What is she from?
Okay.
Why can't I think of it?
Doesn't she have an Oscar?
Does she have an Oscar?
Who are we talking about?
Linda Hunt from Silverado. From Silverado.
No. Linda Hunt is with.
She's in Silverado, which I didn't know. So to me, that counts.
Wow.
She's in Kindergarten Cop.
Yeah, she's the principal. She's the school principal.
Linda Hunt.
She's the principal. She's teeny tiny.
Yeah.
I have to look her up.
What was her big breakthrough movie?
Year of Living Dangerously.
Year of Living Dangerously.
But that's what
Mel Gibson.
I think she won an Oscar for that. Yeah. Or she was nominated for an Oscar for that.
Oh, I remember her from If Looks Could Kill. Do you remember that movie?
Oh, yeah. Is she the villain?
She's the bad guy. She's the villain.
Looks like Edna Mode from Incredibles.
Oh, it's 100% made after her.
I always assumed that character in Incredibles was totally made in her honor, in her image.
That's all you just said. She looks like Edna Mode.
I think even though she only has 54 film credits, which is very surprising because I feel like she's in tons of stuff, she's now on NCIS, so then she definitely gets a pass for the character actor.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's 1,000 million episodes of that show.
She won an Oscar in 1984 for The Year of Living Dangerously.
See, nobody remembers that, though, so she still counts.
Oh, yeah. Well, if you're on an NCIS now, you're You're a character actor.
You count as a character actor. And then I think I maybe have too many in my list, so I'll keep going. I'll skip. I had Ben Mendelsohn, who's amazing, but maybe he's getting more famous. He was in Rogue One. I had Christopher McDonald, who's in Billy Madison.
And
Shooter McGavin.
And Breaking.
Love Shooter McGavin.
And I feel like he's in a bunch of stuff, but you can never remember.
So much stuff. That's a
He's
great
always
choice.
Like the guy. Now, guys, place this guy. He is an amazing character actor. He for sure fits Dad's criteria of he's always going to be the bad guy. Zelko Ivanek.
Yep.
Yeah.
Who?
Okay. He's a bad guy in True Blood, a bad guy in Banshee, a bad guy in X-Men.
Bad guy in 24, the first season of 24.
He always plays what the
bad
Russian...
guy in 3 Billboards. Isn't he a bad guy? I don't know. To me, even if he wasn't, he's always a bad guy. He's Slovenian,
Right.
but he speaks English like perfectly. He's a Slovenian American, and just look him up on IMDb or just look up any of the shows.
Oh
and stuff
yeah.
He's
so terrifying.
I'm going to introduce another
He's
element.
scary in a way that he'll do like experiments on you.
There are character types, and we have to think of them historically of who is the best in that character. So if you say, I'm going to forget his name you just mentioned, but if you go back, who was the first Slovak who played the omnipresent bad guy? Anthony Zerb. So, I can help.
Is this a real question?
No. I'm just saying that
The actor Anthony Zerb,
right,
who was in Lily, who was in Young Riders.
Right. So
Who played Teaspoon in Young Riders.
He started, Anthony Zerb started that character type
Slovakian,
of the Russian,
What's his name?
Slovak.
Anthony Zerb?
Anthony Zerb.
Wait, I just want to point out for our listeners, our father is not using IMDb.
Yeah.
This
We're
is
all
literally
like chasing
just
behind
from
him
the
with
top of his
IMDb
head.
while we're doing
chasing
this.
behind him with IMDb.
Yeah,
Exactly.
he is not.
No.
Yeah.
We should put a preface on this episode. Get your IMDb handy. Have your app open to listen to this episode. Okay, and then my next one, and he is one of my all-time favorites, is Peter Skarsgård. He is phenomenal, and I don't think he's had a chance yet to have a leading role. Maybe in Education, but again, an indie movie about a girl who falls in love with an older guy.
Won an Oscar.
It did, but I don't think it gets him the leading man. It didn't
not
turn him
like
into Giamatti.
No, or Sam Rockwell. I feel like Sam Rockwell is the perfect example of someone who could have been a character actor for life and then pivoted into a leading man.
I feel like Skarsgård, it's his personal choice, because if he wanted to, he'd knock all of them out of the park.
I don't even know which Skarsgård you're talking about.
The not as handsome one.
The what? The not
as
one.
handsome. The not as handsome one.
Skarsgård.
No, I mean they're not related.
But they both have
there's
the same last
Stellan
name.
Skarsgård and Alexander Skarsgård, who are Swedish, and they are related, father and son. And then there's Maggie Gyllenhaal. Isn't that her husband? That's Maggie Gyllenhaal's husband.
Which one are we talking about? Peter Skarsgård? Not related to Alexander Skarsgård.
Peter Skarsgård. He's the one that's in that creepy orphan movie that you made me watch.
Oh right, he's in Garden State, An Education, Orphan, and you've seen him. If you see his face, he's so brilliant. He'll play like a bad guy,
who's like.
Isn't he in The Salton Sea also with Val Kilmer?
He's always like you kind of can't trust him. Like he's a little bit manipulative.
And to me, I think he's like just massively amazing. And he's in one of the best movies I've ever seen. That I recommend. It's a very tough movie to see, but boys don't cry. It's an extremely difficult movie to see, but I recommend it if you're into seeing a tough, great movie.
Which on this
Lily, great choices. Okay.
On this podcast, we're not. Yeah.
Okay, so I will give you mine now, and then leading up to Dad's all-time list here. Okay. Stephen Root, star of News Radio.
Yeah. When I saw it in your list, I was like, you're serious about this game.
He's so funny.
News Radio, Get Out, and Office Space. That guy, and then not to mention a voice on Dallas and Robo, where he plays the
he was in True Blood. He was in Walking Dead.
He was.
I don't know. I think I just saw him.
I feel like he appeared in a judge on one of the crime shows we watch. I don't know which one. The thing about Stephen Root is.
We're just watching who he was in.
He does that voice, the Office Space voice.
Right. So here's Stephen Root as an actor who there's the character in Office Space. There's the character of Jimmy James from News Radio. those are two characters that could not be more different. And then, in my view, at least from the people who follow those programs,
234 credits.
Those are iconic characters that he created. That he's done variations in different ways, but they tower over like he disappears into them. So he's amazing. Then I want to give a little love to Stephen Root. Do you know what I'm talking about? Little show.
You do. I'll show you a picture. One second.
Then Keith David. So that's Stephen Root. Okay, Keith David.
Oh, Keith David is fantastic. I 100%
who's in
agree.
They Live opposite. Who's in They Live opposite Roddy Piper in The Thing. He's the guy who makes it to the end with Kurt Russell in The Thing. Mm-hmm. He's the voice, I believe, of the cat in Coraline. And he is also on Psych. He takes over as the dad of Burton Guster. Those are some of his roles. And then
he does comedy really well.
And then the first time I ever saw him in a movie was in Men at Work, starring the Estevez brothers,
which is, as a kid, one of my favorite movies. They play garbage men who solve crimes.
Exactly.
Why don't people talk about that movie enough?
That movie's awesome.
No, we should revisit it.
And he plays their crazy sidekick. Right? He's not in the posters, but he's a huge part of that movie as their crazy sidekick. So Keith David, who I absolutely adore. All right, now this is a next one is big. This is because this guy can go from nerdy goober to like disgusting, creepy, almost serial killer.
But he still stays in the realm of undesirable.
He's always undesirable, and that is
he doesn't cross over to that.
Stephen Tobolowsky.
Who sounds like his name.
Yeah.
He is
Stephen Tobolowsky.
Stephen Tobolowsky.
He's the principal from the Goldbergs.
Not the principal. Yeah, he's Principal Ball on the Goldbergs. He's the principal. Ned Ryerson.
Yeah.
Groundhog Day.
Yes. He's the bald guy with the glasses that's tone, how's the voice like.
He's so weird and gross on Californication.
Californication, he's so gross.
He's the producer.
But on Deadwood, he's one of the land. One of the legal
agents.
He's one of the evil agent type characters from out of town in Deadwood. And so I because he can play completely nerve and unthreatening, but also extremely menacing.
Right, like an evil Nebbish.
Then Jane Lynch, who I don't like, I felt bad even picking Jane Lynch because she is a side character, but Jane Lynch is such a giant.
But she counts though. I think
she counts the character actor, for sure. But she is incredible.
And in tons of things where you're like, Jane Lynch was in that, Jane Lynch was in that, and then you immediately
so much stuff. Let's see what.
Although she was a major player on Glee, which was a major important show at a time.
She still was like a. She's got
a side character. She wasn't the Morrison.
196 credits.
Wow, so she's the second.
Really, up until the Glee time, she was truly just a character actor. And then around 2008, 2009, when Glee got big, that's when she sort of broke into the mainstream.
But even then, she's not the main actress in Miss Maisel, and she just plays a side character. She's brilliant.
But
that's one of the parts of Miss Maisel I really enjoyed.
She was on like every single TV show in the 90s. If you look at her IMDb credit list, she appeared on every single TV show.
Also a voice from Dallas and Robo. Another thing I'll say about Jane Lynch, my favorite role of hers, though, is in one of my favorite comedies, one of my favorite rewatch movies, is Role Models, where she plays the former drug addict that's in charge of the Eagles spreading wings, whatever it's called, sturdy wings. And then last but not least, I'm going to go old school to the Korman Children's Sick Days. I'm going to go with Patricia Clarkson.
Love Patricia.
So elegant, so wonderful.
I guess she was, when I checked a few lists, she's on those lists. I think, now she's on Sharp Objects as a main character on the HBO show. But again, she's usually side characters, and she's always brilliant. Again, I think she's Meryl Streep caliber. Always brilliant. Beautiful, funny.
When you think about her, I think about her, and I'm not saying this in a mean way, I think about her as playing someone famous's wife in the 80s or 90s, right? Like, she's Tom Hanks. Is she Tom Hanks' wife in a movie? Yes, she is Tom Hanks' wife in the Green Mile. And she's Kevin Costner's wife in The Untouchables. But she's amazing, and I love her, and I love everything that she does. So
like a classic example of, women not having better parts written for them. Like,
Yeah, she could do
Because I
anything.
think she has, and when I say beautiful, I mean beautiful actress. Like, her acting is stunning.
Yeah, and everything she's in, she's great. And all of those movies that are so important to us, she is part of the fabric of those movies. So I'm glad she's in something edgier like Sharp Objects now. And in fact, this era of television allows us, I think, to see more of what those
Oh my God,
actors
it's
do.
so funny. Also, I think another movie that's going to come up later, Miracle, she plays Kurt Russell's wife.
Oh, there you go. Okay. We just named 3 iconic, like...
She's also was on 6 Feet Under, and she's amazing on that.
All right, so the
I
moment
mean,
we've
she's
all
got a lot of great indie stuff as well.
the moment we've all been waiting for. Dad's list.
Dad.
Well,
Drum roll.
Of top character actors. Granted, we might have said some of his already,
So-
which would only make him prouder of us.
Indeed. So we have overlapped on a few. So I'm going to go back to David Paymer because he really
Fantastic.
does make the movie. And Payback is one of my favorite revenge movies of all time.
Agreed.
Because it's really low budget. It has fantastic additional characters, including the singer who plays, gosh, I can't remember.
Chris Christopherson?
Chris Christopherson, who plays
Star of A Star Is Born.
Right, who-
Payback, way better than both versions of A Star Is Born.
Okay. And because even though his role is so clearly defined before he even walks on stage, it's almost like a batter in baseball. You know he can only do one pitch. He can only hit one pitch. But every time he steps up to bat, he knocks it out of the park. Second one, and John Hawkes, obviously one of my favorites of all time. Clifton Collins.
Oh.
Okay.
Who's he?
He is a chameleon.
He's a chameleon.
He
is one of the best polymorph side characters. So if he played in Westworld,
He's in Tigerland.
he goes all the way back to
Tigerland.
Tigerland.
I would have
I mean, he's in
never
a
known.
lot of
He's in
a ton of
Westworld.
things.
He's in the first season of Westworld.
He's
in everything.
He's in everything.
I didn't know that was his name.
He's got
Even his character
Star
in
Trek
Westworld,
Traffic.
I'm not sure
I mean,
if it's the
everybody's
same
in Traffic.
character.
He plays like 3 characters, I think. He's got
He's
130 some odd
good.
characters, and again, he's a polymorph because
He's 121.
120
credits.
because he can do Latin guys, he can
Southern
do
guys he
Southern
does.
guys. So, okay, let's go back to John Hawkes, who leads us.
And in his description in IMDb is an acting chameleon.
Exactly. I thought
That is his description as an actor.
If you look up John Turturro in IMDb, it says crazy guy who's always unstable. It's very narrow, where Clifton Collins is very.
Oh, I love
broad.
Clifton Collins.
Okay, so let's go back to John Hawkes, which leads from Winter's Bone. Eventually, he gets.
I'm just going to say John Turturro has 225 titles.
Oh, okay.
Holy
he's our new
bananas.
champion. So John
Wait, did
Hawkes.
he beat Jane Lynch? Yeah.
Okay, so John Hawkes leads us to small town crime, and Clifton Collins in that movie plays Mood, the pimp,
Oh, you're right.
the pimp
yeah.
gangster who
Yeah,
joins
that's
the
right. They're in that together.
the collaboration
Yeah, they
of John
collaborate.
Hawkes and
They team up.
Robert Forrester.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, God, the okay.
Robert Forster?
Robert Forster.
Forster.
Right.
Oh, who's
okay.
also great.
So now I'm going to hit you with one that, to prove that I'm the ultimate champion. Michael Jeter. Michael Jeter.
Played for the Yankees.
No. Okay.
Oh,
gonna say
wow,
Eric-
Dad.
Oh, okay. So Michael Jeter.
What's
so
he in?
I fell in love with Michael Jeter because Open Range is one of my all-time 3 favorite cowboy movies, and and he plays the stable guy.
He's
Percy.
fantastic.
Okay.
He plays like a weird small
like
guy,
a weird-
weirdo,
okay.
like strange.
Now, who watched Sesame Street a
Oh,
million
no,
times?
yeah, he was Mr. something or other.
He's Mr. Noodle
on Elmo.
on Elmo.
But he was. There's actually a second Mr. Noodle. So
Oh, okay.
So he was
Yeah.
the first Mr. Noodle. He died.
And he also was in movies like Green Mile. So here's a guy who
Fisher
played,
And he's in Welcome to Collinwood.
Welcome to Collinwood.
I
right.
thought so.
And Fisher King,
With
right?
literally every character
Fear and Loathing.
actor.
With every character, I'm telling you, watch that
So,
movie.
so again, here's a guy who's
Great choice. I can't believe you even thought of him. How did you think of him?
well because
Wait,
Open
did
Range.
you think of him before you looked at the list?
Yeah. No, because Open Range is one of my favorite movies.
That's amazing.
His part is very, very small, but it's super critical to moving that part of the plot forward as it moves into the final showdown, and he even participates in that. So to me, it's like Peter Stormare in Minority Report. It's a 10-minute segment or a 5-minute segment, but it really helps make the movie. So I've compiled a short list of some of my other favorite character actors, and let's see whether you know any of these. Gabby Hayes, Thomas Mitchell, Henry Jones, John Daner, Jack Elam. Jack Elam was the original. He had one glass eye. He was in every bad guy Western movie because he always looked half crazy, and so on and so on and so on and so forth. So I'll end this with final choice. Richard, and because this is a guy that spans 5 decades, and actually creeps into your era, Richard Conte. Richard, I
mean, I need
I'm not looking at IMDb, so
Okay.
I
I need
want
like
to tell me.
visual
Okay,
flashcards
so
for this.
I'll give you a hint.
I'm
Godfather.
not sure anybody's
Godfather.
gonna know who this
Godfather. The Godfather saga.
is. No
Who's
idea.
he in The Godfather?
Who is he? Don
Barzini.
Barzini.
I don't even know how to spell his name.
Yeah, okay, he plays Barzini. That's
So-
in the first Godfather.
Okay, so yeah, if you go back. He's one of my favorite actors from appearing in a movie, a 1945 movie, what I think is one of the most realistic, and it's a very, very important movie because it's a World War II movie. But unlike many of the movies that were made in 43, 44, 45, and afterwards that glorified battle, the movie's called A Walk in the Sun. And it's really shot from the perspective of the average GI, as we've seen other great movies year after year. And I think, I don't know whether it introduced that genre in World War II movies, but it's a slow-moving but very impactful movie. So Richard Conte goes all the way from being a G.I. Joe all the way to the classics of The Godfather.
Wow, that's
series.
really cool.
So,
All right, so on that terrific note, Lily and Beck, do you have any shout-outs before we wrap this episode?
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to give a big shout out to the whole Sinai family at Cousin Vanny,
Also known as Cousin Vanessa's family.
Cousin Vanessa's family, for such a wonderful Thanksgiving. Oh, and and my husband too, because he was there. He was part of it.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
And Lil.
That's all.
Lil?
I want to shout out to the Goldnerds. If you have not yet heard that podcast, definitely it makes the experience of watching an already amazing show more enjoyable. Specifically this week, I'd like to say shout out to Pancake, Lons, and Ash for an awesome, riveting interview with the Adam F. Goldberg on this past episode. And I probably, if it was me interviewing him, would just want to know, just ask him all these personal questions and find out about, the crazy things in his childhood. And you guys actually asked very interesting questions about the show, which I appreciate because I would not have been capable to do that.
And I managed to mention each one of my members of the family.
And you worked in Break-In, so you get a gold star because you did the impossible.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
You all got
and it was
mentioned.
great.
Dad included. I told him about Dad dancing with Ozone.
Yep. So I highly recommend that podcast, and shout out to you guys.
Thanks, Lil. Dad, shout outs?
Well, my shout out is to my granddaughter.
We don't use names.
It depends which one. Becky and my kids, you can use names.
My eldest granddaughter. And that's because as we went around the Thanksgiving table, saying what we're thankful for, she said, I am thankful for all the people in the world because they are sweet and God who created them. So I thought from a 7-year-old, that just took everyone.
And I gotta say, she did not learn that from her parents. So
I was gonna say, so it's a lot of God talk in the house.
So that's awesome. On the note of thanks, I'm gonna just thank Mom and Dad and Allie and Allie's parents, Barbara and Jim, for helping us make the first Thanksgiving in our old new house. And we're almost done unpacking. And Dad was out when he wasn't writing the notes for this episode, which, as you can see, we're very well prepared. He was building things and fixing things and hanging things and sanding things, and Dad was so effective that he swept the outside. So there's just like the street Dad swept. That's how clean he made it. So thank you to all of you guys, and a shout out to you. Becky, where can people follow you?
At Paper BK Princess on Twitter.
And Lily, where can people follow you?
Chichi K. Gomez on Twitter.
Dad, do you want anyone to follow you?
I don't want anyone to follow me any place, especially in the New York subways.
All right. And you can follow me at Pancake for Table on Twitter and Instagram. You follow all the Pancake shenanigans at FridayNightMoviePod.com and PancakeForTable.com. And, of course, come hang with us at the All-Star Comic-Con in June 7th, 8th, and 9th, 2019. With that, the music of What Does It Eat will kick in, and we will dance in our seats.
Everybody dancing.
Love you. Bye-bye.
Love you. Bye.